Good evening, everybody. It's Friday, and time for the films that I watched this week. A lot of first watches, and they can go either way, can they not? But anyway, the first film from 1950, starring, I think, Fred Astaire and Betty Hutton. Let's Dance. Years after the death of her husband, Kitty McNeil takes her son and flees from the home of her wealthy mother-in-law. Alone and jobless in New York, she runs into her old flame and dancing partner, which is Fred Astaire, who agrees to help her fight for custody of her son, with lots of dancing and that kind of stuff. It's a musical, and I quite liked it. It was a 7 out of 10. Betty Hutton I thought was very good. I recognised her from somewhere, but I still now, a week later, can't think where I've seen her. But it was solid. I enjoyed watching it. It didn't hurt. Give it a 7. And we go back 2 years to 1948 on a film called Raw Deal. A revenge-seeking gangster is sent to prison after being framed for a crime he didn't commit. He escapes prison and plots revenge. This wasn't a very long film, maybe an hour and 10, an hour and 20, so you could call it film noir, maybe? Crime film noir. But I gave it a 7 out of 10. I haven't written down anyone who was in it, because if I remember, I didn't know anyone in it. There'd be no point in me saying Fred, John and Peter's in it when I don't know who they are. Then a Western from 1968. Also a first watch, like them too, called Bandolero. Jimmy Stewart was in it. He poses as a hangman to rescue his brother, Dean Martin, and his gang from a hanging. You've got Raquel Welch in it as well. But yeah, he implies that he kills the real hangman, takes his place, and sets him loose. But it didn't go about it how I thought he'd go about it. It was much more low-key. But a fine film. Also had somebody else in it. I haven't written him down. Hamilton? No. I don't know. But I quite enjoyed that from 1968. I give that one a 7 out of 10 as well. I'll watch anything with Jimmy Stewart in it. Then a lot more recent, from 2019. The Addams Family. Diddly-dee. Yeah, the animated Addams Family. Now, I've never been a fan of the Addams Family. I've seen bits and pieces of the old TV show, the 2 films they did with Angelica Houston. I don't really like them, but I watched this animated one because, just like with Scooby-Doo a couple of weeks back, I thought, not a fan of the old show, but I'll give it a look. And I liked it, so I watched Addams Family, and I liked it. It's typical Addams Family stuff. They move to a new town, Wednesdays go into a new school, they've got the townsfolk to deal with. It made me chuckle. The only thing I didn't like was the voice of Uncle Fester, annoying as goddamn fuck. There is a sequel. I haven't got around to it yet, but I like that one. I give that one a 7 out of 10 as well. It was enjoyable to watch. The animation, the design of them, but I liked it. Then, to open the new year, to open 2023, I watched a film from 2018 called St. Agatha. A young pregnant girl ends up at a convent. Her boyfriend's going off somewhere and she doesn't go. She goes to a soup kitchen, ends up at a convent run by all these nuns, strict, but they look after her. But all is not what it seems. There's more to this convent than meets the eye. Evil Nuns. I give it a 4 out of 10. While watching it, it was okay. But when it was finished, I just thought, is that it really? But yeah, I wouldn't watch that one again. I watched some of the others again, but maybe not this one. More of a psychological horror. I was expecting, someone to be walking around the corner of a house, and he walked around the room, and then it's all quiet, and goes, boo! And then someone goes, boo! But there wasn't. It was more psychological. Anyway, then from 1961, think 50s, early 60s science fiction, and you get an idea of what this would be like. The Phantom Planet. An astronaut goes up into space, finds himself on an asteroid, on an actual asteroid, inhabited by little people, tiny little people. And when he gets on this asteroid, their gravity shrinks him, and then he has to try and get off this asteroid to get back to Earth. He has a duel to the death, which is just like pushing a big stick against someone. But for what it is, I can't knock it because it was probably cheap to make, very of its time. I give it a 5. Not horrible, just of its time. Then I watched something much better. I watched Citizen Kane. This is a digibook way, way, way back in the day when we didn't have Citizen Kane on Blu-ray. But everyone knows Citizen Kane. Charles Foster Kane, newspaper mogul, dies, says Rosebud as his last words, and everyone then sets out to find out what is Rosebud. Bit of an anticlimax to know what Rosebud is, but despite of the technical stuff it did with the shots all being in focus and high ceilings and all that kind of stuff, it's just an interesting story seeing the rise and fall of Charles Foster Kane, Orson Welles. A fine film that I really enjoyed. And it also has, nope, it's at the beginning of the book. It also has Joseph Cotton and Agnes Moorehead. Citizen Kane. I like it. I give that one a big 8 out of 10. Then, for the same reason why I watched The Addams Family and the same reason why I watched Scooby-Doo, Tom and Jerry from 2021, the Tom and Jerry film. Never liked Tom and Jerry. There are certain sketches of it that is okay, but never been a fan of cat chases mouse, mouse gets upper hand, makes fool of cat, rinse and repeat. I thought I'd give it a watch. It was a long film, like 100 minutes long. It should never have been 100 minutes long. It should have been, maybe 70 minutes, 80 minutes at most. But it's got Chloe Grace Moretz in it, who I thought was very good. I liked her very much in this, but I like Chloe Grace Moretz. I have done in a lot of films. But she cons herself into getting a job at this hotel where Michael Pena works. There's a big wedding going on, so she cons herself into getting this job here. And it seems like it's her film, and Tom and Jerry just happen to be in the hotel at the same time. But I actually rather enjoyed it. I give it a 6 out of 10. It's a 6 or a 7. I've written a 6 down, but something tells me I might give it a 7. Plus, you'll see, other characters you'll recognise. Droopy's in there. The Bulldog's in there. I'm not quite sure if the animation and the live action mixed well, because I just think if you want to watch this type of film, just watch Roger Rabbit. But I didn't mind it. 6 out of 10. Didn't mind it at all. Then the latest Fantastic Beasts film, The Secrets of Dumbledore. I give it a 5 out of 10. We've got a different Grindelwald. Not Johnny Depp anymore, but all three of these films, they lack the magic, they lack the spark of Harry Potter. And it's fine seeing Hogwarts, but when you see a young Dumbledore and a young Professor McGonagall, it's like, it's not the Harry Potter that we know. It's not the Harry Potter we know. In the words of a famous chocolate maker, strike that, reverse it. It's not the Hogwarts we know. It's just, it lacks everything that Harry Potter had. I'll give it a 5. Then from 1942, Pride of the Yankees. This is a tribute film, I believe, to Lou Gehrig. I think he died a year before the film came out. I know of Lou Gehrig, played for the Yankees, had that massive 2,000 and something game consecutive streak, which is bonkers. A lot of baseballists standing around waiting for the ball to come to you, but still to do it every day was impressive. Gary Cooper plays Lou Gehrig, shows him from a kid all the way up to when he retires because he has an illness that we all know as Lou Gehrig disease. It's got a few Yankees in it, Babe Ruth being one of them. Also got Teresa Wright as his wife, Lou Gehrig's wife, Gary Cooper's wife, and Walter Brennan. You can dress up Walter Brennan in a suit. You can put hair on Walter Brennan. You cannot disguise his voice. I didn't recognize him, but I know him by my ears. Distinctive voice. I liked it. Solid film. 7 out of 10. 1942. Pride of the Yankees. How much of it is true? Who knows? It doesn't matter. And lastly, I finished off with Harry, the crocodile and alligator wrangler who lives in the Everglades, so it seems. His favourite film of all time, Casablanca, with Humphrey Bogart, Ingrid Bergman, Claude Rains, Conrad Veidt and Peter Lorre. Everyone knows Casablanca. I have seen it once before. Don't remember anything past a certain point. But it's a good film. I can't say it's shit. It's not. I don't think it's an absolute masterpiece. I don't think it's absolutely superb and brilliant. But I do give it an 8 out of 10. Casablanca, very much worth watching. Love story and all that kind of stuff. So that is everything that I've watched this week. Cheers to everyone again. And I'll see you next week.